Welcome to H.Y.S.T. I'm Bradley Hackworth, joined by Jonathan Ems, otherwise known as Doc. Writer, author. I know those kind of mean the same things, but they also don't mean the same thing.
They are, yeah. Sometimes it is different.
Yeah, because
It's a very subtle
they
difference
authored
that
this
even I
article
could not
and stuff
define.
like that.
But
Yeah, but because I know that you have worked on novels, I know that you've worked in film and television, I know that you've worked also doing audio work and all that. So, the author,
I even wrote a song one time.
I wanna. What?
Well, I didn't write the music. I wrote the lyrics. It was for the cabaret show. We basically did an original
Right.
song for the
Okay.
cabaret show.
No. That I did though. That I did. Okay. That.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. So this week we're going to be covering The Skeleton Key and Willy's Wonderland. Now, all right. So the film that we got, The Skeleton Key, was an audience recommendation. However, Willy's Wonderland was a revenge film given to me by Doc because he thoroughly did not enjoy Grandma's Boy last week, and that's
And I just want to
going to come
say,
back to bite you.
yeah, I just want to say that I did feel bad about that. Like by morning, I was thinking to myself, you know what? That might have been overkill. That might have been.
No, see, no, okay, no, I'm actually, oh, damn, we might have to start with Willy's first. Nope, we're not, because that's going to be a hell of a lot of fun, and that's going to energize us, and I know it.
Okay, all right. So you want to start with Skeleton Key?
I do. I want to jump in. I want to start with The Skeleton Key, and because this was one that weirdly you were supposed to be a first watch on, but you'd already seen it, and I hadn't.
Yeah, that was the weird thing. And that kind of I was nearly finished with the movie. It was in the last 10, 15 minutes, I suddenly remembered, oh yeah, I've seen this before. Yeah. That is the weird thing. I know for someone who does not like horror movies, I have seen an astounding number of them because all of my friends and a vast majority of the women I have dated have all been massive horror fans. And so I'm kind of stuck with them whether I like it or not.
So, let's jump into it.
All right.
Skeleton Key, directed by Iain Softley, who also directed Hackers and K-Pax, two incredible films for very, very different reasons.
Right.
So to see him go from Hackers to this, to K-Pax, dude, Iain Softley's got some range as a director.
He really does, yeah. It's kind of impressive.
Well, this was written by Ehren Kruger, who... because I know the exact movie that you brought up when we were talking about a horrible example. He wrote The Ring, great movie. Top Gun Maverick, pretty damn good movie. Scream 3. Why is that in there? I know you agree, man, that does not fit. One of these things is not like the other.
Yeah. No, yeah. That was I wonder when Scream 3 is going to come up next, because it's weird that it's come up a second time in such a short time.
If we ever do a movie with David Arquette in it, because basically that's all David Arquette has been doing. Back to The Skeleton Key. Oh yeah, this is starting. This one is starring Kate Hudson, Peter Saarsgard, Gena Rowlands, Joy Bryant, a very early credit. Well, not very early. It was like her 12th credit, but still pretty early credit of Joy Bryant. And one of the final appearances from John Hurt. Now, John Hurt has a very special place in my heart.
Oh, yeah. No, that was one of the things that blew me away. Like the first big shocker of it was, holy shit, John Hurt's in this movie. That was the first big one for me.
Yeah, that kind of tanked me a little bit. And then because I looked it up, I was like, man, I haven't seen John Hurt in a lot of things. I love him. Like when I saw him in King Ralph, he was one of my favorite characters in King Ralph. His voice is iconic to me. Like When I watched V for Vendetta and I heard the president's voice, I knew who that was immediately.
Right, yeah.
And he is not representative of my generation in any way.
No,
Like,
no, yeah.
you have to have seen his older work to know who he is. Unless you've seen, like, 3 things that he's been in the past 20 years. I mean, he's been dead for 7 years, but, you know, still. Let's see. Papa Justify was played by Ronald McCall, and this was his second to last credit as an actor. And then there was also Mama Cecile, who was played by Jeryl Prescott. This was her third credit, and I know you know her very, very well from a very particular series. Because you did watch Swamp Thing, did you not?
Swamp Thing.
Yes.
Yes.
She was she was Madame Xanadu in every single episode. She was one of the main characters in that, and I like the second I saw her in this movie, I was like, "Oh my god, I know that woman," and I had to go research her.
Huh? I did not clock her at all. That's weird.
She is so good as Madame Xanadu. Like, she is amazing. I loved seeing that. And I loved realizing that. And this is just kind of
that's kind of
fun
what blew me away
thing.
about this movie was how just like first rate the entire cast was.
Well, the thing was, it was like there was no part of the like I didn't have one nitpicking thing for this entire movie. Like that was the thing. This was a very well made. It was well shot. It was well choreographed. It was well acted. They just could have trimmed about 12 minutes. Just to kick up the pacing, because that's where the movie lost. When I was like, this should be the climax, and then I realized we still have about 15 minutes of movie left. Right. I was like, you could have cut this part, condensed all of this. The movie wouldn't have lost a single thing, and the pacing would have been better.
Yep.
But like, in no way is this even a subpar film. This is a great movie. It just doesn't have that pacing.
That's the thing is, well, for me, it's also that like yeah, technically on a technical aspect, there's nothing wrong with this thing. Yeah, shot well, cinematography wise, sound wise, acting wise, yes. Music was good. Even the licensed music, was well timed and placed great.
Also, this is something there. Because you're not a big horror guy, this isn't something that I'm sure you pay much attention to. Maybe you do. But I love that they choose hip hop every time, like so often in horror movies, because a lot of horror fans have their bass and their audio systems set up for jump scares, to feel the bass, to feel the those tension moments. So when they choose hip hop, and it just works perfectly with the sound setup that a lot of horror fans have. I just love when they know to do that. Great call. One final thing about the cast. Actually, 2 final things about the cast. One of the ambulance dudes was Mr. Wheeler from Stranger Things. So the skeleton key opens on reading Treasure Island. One of the and I like that they did that, because if you remember in Treasure Island, one of the key scenes in that book or movie has to do with a person reading to somebody on their deathbed. So I thought that was a nice little inclusion. I wanted to check with you. Am I right about that? There is that scene in Treasure Island, right?
I do not know. I don't think I've never read the book Treasure Island, and of all the movie versions and adaptations I've seen, I don't recall anything like that. So I can't say for sure.
Shit. Damn it. Well, that sucks. And all the opening shots revolved around this elderly black man just staring out the window, and all of the shots through it were of a tree, which dark.
Yeah.
Very beautiful if you don't know what the movie's about. Once you know what the movie is about, dark.
Yeah.
Dude. And the disposal of the effects. Now, this is one thing that I like that they
related to Kate Hudson's character so hard on this, because it was like,
I definitely agree.
Just throw that shit away? Are you kidding me?
Well, here's the thing. She was 26 years old, I think she said in the movie. And a lot of the other people who were there have been there for years. And at a certain point, you do get jaded. And you do just realize, we can't keep this stuff here. This family doesn't want it, all this, get that. And she thought you couldn't, they couldn't wait to get this guy's stuff out of there. And I didn't see one, like, even on the second watch, I didn't see one character actually be in a rush to do this. It was all just, this is life. This is what we have to do.
Yeah.
And it was just a very naive younger person.
We're going through the steps kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a very naive younger person. Like, they couldn't wait. It's like it's not that they couldn't wait. It's that somebody else who was alive needed their attention more.
Yeah.
And that's just the thing about the difference between when you look at something from a young person's perspective versus an older person's perspective. Because when you're younger, you understand. You're like, I want everybody to have the sympathy. I want them to have the support. But when you're older, you want the caretakers to stop doing stuff for people who are dead because your parent needs them.
Right.
So that's just kind of like, I understand that, and I really appreciated the fact that they included that line from her, but they showed zero evidence of it. Because that was just a perspective thing and not the filmmaker doing when they show like a gay character or something like that, they have to make everybody in the world over the top homophobic and treat them like crap just to show an example on film.
Right.
But that wasn't what it was. This was this character's perception, and I thought that was a really, really, really good way to go about it.
Yeah.
The club scene. Oh, great use of bass. We already talked about that. But what I want to talk about the club scene.
Well, just to go back, that was another
everybody who was in the club scene is on the IMDb. Everybody. And it's the DP, the cinematographer. Like, they took everybody from the crew and they put them into the club scene so they could give them an acting credit.
Yeah,
I thought that was kind of nice.
That's great. Yeah.
I was running over you. What were you saying?
Well, I was going to say, going back to that, that's one of the interesting things about this is that this movie is from a writing perspective, and that even kind of goes into a little bit of the pacing, like you were talking about before. It does kind of slow things down a bit, but at the same time, I appreciate at no time are you wondering what the hell our main character is thinking. Her point of view is very, very clearly illustrated in this. You know exactly where she's at. You are sympathetic with her. At no point are you sitting there going, "What the fuck is this bitch thinking?" It never happens. You have good, clear understanding with her every step of the way.
Also, what a great use of having black characters that are superstitious, and instead of ever saying the line, "Oh, I've seen this movie. The black guy dies first." No, the superstition and everything like that really weighs heavy in the South. The people who know about it are like, nope, sorry.
Yep.
Person from Jersey, have fun. I'm not going in there. Right, yeah. I like the inclusion of that, but they never actually flat out said it like that. And just, you know how much I like trusting my audience, or when as an audience member I'm trusted. I enjoy that. The red clay dust. How did you feel about the clay dust?
The red brick dust?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was an interesting mechanic. I don't know enough about the superstitions to really.
I had a very specific thought on that.
Well, and it's interesting though. It's interesting in that it did take that sort, the start of the whole building of the lore had to do with whether or not someone believes in this stuff,
yes.
and how they're affected is how they believe in it. Her randomly testing how things work, it kind of felt to I don't know. It was a bit of a stretch. I didn't have a problem with it. I was like, okay, so I'm getting how this works, kind of thing. But at the same time, it was kind of strange how, even if you can't see the red brick dust, it still keeps you from crossing it, kind of thing. that felt like it was going beyond superstition and stepping right into an episode of Supernatural, you know? And
I do agree. So, but that, I think that everything that you're saying, every problem that you have, I think it's on purpose. I think they did it on purpose.
I think so too. I think you're right. Yeah.
But because for Kate Hudson's character specifically.
Right.
Like that, and that's what I was really enjoying about it. Justify as the state lawyer, because that has already been done, everything like that. So to see him, and also obviously spoilers to the highest degree, of course.
Well, see, that's kind of one of the things I wanted to say about this is that I went into this like, and in the same, kind of like I'm still hot on the heels of Bone Collector, you know. Mm-hmm. Where when we saw Bone Collector, I said there were certain narrative clues that, because I've seen so many damn movies, I thought I knew exactly what was going to happen, but I was wrong. Mm-hmm. And so I come into this movie, I see all the same narrative clues. I think I've got it all figured out like 20 minutes in. Then I'm like, oh, no. I made this mistake last week. You're not fooling me again, movie. And no, it turns out I was exactly right on everything. There is no spoiling on this movie. Literally, you can see everything coming a mile away. I knew exactly who was who and what was what within a few minutes.
I was completely wrong.
Really?
I had my guess, and my guess was actually the same as Kate Hudson's character's guess. And that's what I thought was happening. And it was only until very shortly after, in the very, very end, that I was like, oh. And then everything locked in. But I thought that Gena Rowlands' character was teaching Peter Saarsgard's character how to survive, how to steal years, how to do this. I thought that he just was part of it. So I was half right because he was Justify. But I was wrong because the transference I didn't see coming. That wasn't what I saw happening, because this is basically Get Out before Get Out.
Right. I haven't seen Get Out, but I've heard all about it. So that's kind of was my thinking too.
You are a heavy film lover. Why have you not seen that?
Because I'm not currently dating a horror fan. So I don't have to sit here and choose between. I don't have to sit here and choose between sitting through a horror movie and or getting laid this week or something like that. You know, it's not. No one's forcing me to watch the horror movies anymore, and so I'm not going to. Like that, I've done Skeleton Key because for this basically. You know, I probably wouldn't have.
But I wouldn't call this a horror movie. I would put this closer to drama.
A suspense film, a sort of supernatural suspense film. Yeah.
Yes, but I wouldn't call it horror.
No, probably.
Like, I wouldn't go that far. I feel like horror has a specific connotation, but I do really want to speak the praises to Gena Rowlands when she comes up and she looks at Kate Hudson and sees that she's white, and then she looks at Justify in the lawyer's body, and that glance,
right.
You understood the entire conversation from that one glance. Gena Rowlands, wow.
Gena, she pretty much stole the show. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, big Kate Hudson fan, but she got outacted by Gena.
Well, but also this was only 2005. Like, this was not Kate Hudson after she had like this was Kate Hudson kind of at the height of her beginnings.
Yeah, I think
this was very shortly after How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days and things like that. Like, she was on a run.
This was a streak, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think she quite hit powerhouse status. And speaking real, I'm not thinking of any performances that are powerhouse, but damn, she's enjoyable. Like, that's the thing. If Kate Hudson's in a movie, I know that I'm going to enjoy at least Kate Hudson in that movie because she's never not rocking.
No, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I know people who would, as my grandfather used to say, would watch her read a phone book for 2 hours. And you know what? I don't blame them at all.
she could find a way to make that entertaining. That is Kate Hudson.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, just said that. So the flirty vibe that Justify has with Kate Hudson's character, on the first viewing, I thought it was just your typical standard creepy dude, horror guy, breaking personal space, just ups the unease. That's what I thought on the first time. Second time watching it, I kind of got the feeling that Justify was trying to get in the groove of already showing affection to the person in that body. Like, he saw her, he was like, oh, yay, she's so pretty. And then he's like, pretty soon, my girl is going to be in that body. So he's, like, already, making the physicalities. He's already, he's at that comfort, even though he definitely should not be.
Right.
So I don't know if that's what they were doing, but that's what I kind of felt in that, and it made it...
There was also, I mean, again, this goes with the whole, narrative clues type thing I was talking about. It's also when you have that main bad guy betrayer character, he's also doing it intentionally to get her to disarm around him. He's trying to make her trust him, which it works because when the shit hits the fan, when the shit hits the fan, does she go to her best friend, her roommate, the one who she's been confiding in all this time?
She does not go to the cops. She does not go to the police. She was just trying to murder. There's a dude, there's a body that needs an ambulance and all that. And she does not go straight to the police station or the hospital or anything. She goes to that dude, the dude who has been inappropriately breaking space. That actually, okay, sorry, I did have a nitpick thing. That was...
but that's the thing there, is that was kind of the whole... He that was the reason why they picked that dude, is because he's a good-looking, charming dude. He's Peter Saarsgard. A wry grin from him disarms the ladies. We know that for a fact. It's scientifically proven. So that's probably...
All right. Science. What I really want to say about Kate and Joy's friendship, it was really nice to see, but also... casting Joy Bryant next to Kate Hudson was perfect. Those two were perfect together.
They were that was the weird thing, is to start with, they had such a obvious chemistry. These two clearly are friends. You can see it. They are good friends to the point that I thought they were a couple to start with.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was like,
but as she's helping her pack her car to go to the job interview and stuff like that, out in the boonies, I was, they didn't kiss goodbye. I was like, oh, I was wrong. They're just friends. Okay.
Well, that would be if we made the movie today, that's what would happen.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, and then Joy Bryant's character would have come in 15 minutes to the end and Deus Ex Machina some shit.
Probably, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Gosh, she really was. Joy Bryant was she didn't do much in this movie, but every single person who had every moment on screen in this, I feel like I actually remember every single person, because they actually did a good job all the way up. The blind lady walking with the girl on the side of the road, and then the French-speaking gas station owner.
Right. Every character had character.
Yeah, and they give you a sense of unease or a sense of comfort or at very least questions, and none of them didn't get answered. I will, how did you get Scream 3 out of that? Because I see how you got The Ring. The Ring is very well written. Yeah. There's nothing in that movie that is dropped. The mirrors. Did you catch when it came to the mirrors, did you think that they were going to see Justify and Cecile? Did you think that they were going to see just their past versions of themselves? Or did you think that they did not want to see what they currently look like because they're not in their own bodies?
I kind of went back and forth on that one. I wasn't sure. I think the big one was, when she showed the mirror to John Hurt and he freaked out.
Just about to say that. I was just about because he saw that, and it's because if he would have seen himself, he probably wouldn't have freaked out so much. But
Right.
he saw John Hurt.
So my thinking was that to a certain degree, they never got comfortable with seeing a different face in the reflection, and so that's why the mirrors are gone. There's also the possibility,
and I agree. That's what I thought as well.
Jumping to the end, considering how integral the mirrors appeared to be in the ceremony, there's probably something to do with
capturing the soul.
Like there might be a transfer, like that may be like part of the undoing or fucking it up somehow, or some lingering, like, you know, just general phobia of them since that's where it happened or something there, you know. And even when you even see how, you know, when she's doing the transfer ceremony with the mirror, she's making sure not to look directly at it herself. She's hiding behind it, you know?
Yeah.
So the mirrors seem to, I think what it is, the mirrors hold some sort of power still in when it comes to the ceremony they use to make the transference. I think.
I like that they don't answer that. I like that it's a discussion. I like that it's a thought.
Right.
I like that was.
I think to a certain degree, it was intentional to leave that open-ended for a certain degree.
You know what? No, it's not open-ended. She looked in the mirror. The reflection, she saw alternating versions of souls.
Oh.
She even saw Gena Rowland young.
That's true.
So, they did explain it, and you're completely right. I just missed it. Good job.
Okay, cool.
Scrawny, pretty, tattooed, wants to know all about her body. She's like interviewing because that's about to be her body, and
right.
Asking, like, talking about how the fact that she doesn't have a southern accent and all this. And I enjoyed that because once she gets into that body, she is going to have a southern accent because that's how she talks. So she's like planning ahead of, this is not going to be as easy to hide. This is not going to be like, this isn't like, and I loved like all of that. The second watch was really enjoyable for me on this one. Like, it really showed a lot. No. Okay, I would have thought, so when she talks about her father dying and Gena Rowland says, like, so did you take care of him as well? And she responds, I would have, I just thought I had more time.
Right.
Great sentiment and philosophy that goes with this movie.
And I think it's real, and it is interesting too, because again, that plays into the character. We do see how, like, it explains why she's such a vehement caretaker, why she was so upset about the guy back at the hospital, why she's so dead set on protecting this guy now. Is there's a part
Mr.
of
Talcott
her that's
at the
trying
hospital
to...
and Ben here.
Mr.
Talcott back at the hospital and Ben here. Sorry.
Right, exactly. So,
but the other, like, what I like
because she's still kind of, you know, in a certain way, kind of wishing that she had been there for her dad and she wasn't. So, yeah.
Yeah, like, the character has a lot of regrets, and those regrets are very, very well explained. The exposition dump in this never actually felt unnatural or unbalanced. Everything was reasonable. Everything did good. But the second quote that really steered this movie is the first one, I would have, just thought I had more time. I mean, that, yeah. And then live fast and die young. The keychain that she stole from Mr. Talcott.
Yep.
She does. She lives fast and she dies, but she doesn't die young. She does not live a whole life, however, she does die. Right. So those two statements, the only two out-of-place statements in this entire movie actually played into the movie completely. Yep. Very, very good job on behalf of Iain Softley and Ehren Kruger. Oh, the misery on his face. John Hurt sitting in the chair and just like staring off into the swamp, which apparently that swamp was not real.
Really?
There is no swamp around this property. That was created with like special effects and everything like that. And when I went back to watch it the second time, and I was looking at that water, and I was like, 2005? No way.
That's impressive. Yeah, that was really impressive.
Because they were actually filming in the bayou, and they didn't want gators. So they actually created a swamp so they wouldn't have to deal with anything like that.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
Oh, it makes
impressive
complete sense. It just, wow, it looked amazing. Good job on behalf of set design. When Gena Rowlands sends Kate Hudson's character up, I really should have written everybody's names down, but whatever. Sends her up to the attic to look at the seeds.
Violet.
Yes, thank you. Because all I remember is Justify and Cecile. But when she sends her up to the attic, she's like, I got the seeds next to the door. She literally planting all the seeds for the curiosity to take hold in Kate Hudson's character. When she gets up to the attic, the only thing that is actually cascading with light and lit up in the attic is the thing that is standing in front or sitting in front of that door. Going to the door and reaching into it, she had the bobby pin and all that, and then she just sticks the bobby pin in there, and then it just so happens that a piece of that broken key just comes out. I'm sorry. No. If you have a key, like something that big, and you put a bobby pin in, or if something breaks off, that is falling down. It is not going to stay.
Depending. I have seen some of these, I've got a lot of old people family, and they live in a lot of old houses. Sometimes, now here's the thing, it would be really, really easy for anybody to do that. Like, it's weird that no one did that in so many years, because you could just take a pair of tweezers and pull this stuff out. But yeah, like if someone wanted to intentionally break off a piece of key in there, it is possible, and then it would.
But I do gotta say one thing about that. The film was postponed because Kate Hudson got pregnant, and this film was made like very shortly after Kate Hudson had her child. And holy crap, what magic cocoa lotion or shea butter, cocoa butter, whatever the super ingredients that the Hollywood people have. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Jesus. That was my only thing. Like, she
that does make it
just had a
interesting
kid.
too. Like, when we think about like where Kate Hudson was in a career there, if she was enough of an upscale that they would postpone shooting for her to basically have maternity leave rather than recasting her, that just goes to show how much they saw her as the draw for this movie.
And once again, I'm gonna sing her praises, because I'm not gonna say like this was the most amazing movie or anything like that, but not one of the actors dropped anything.
No. Yeah.
Like, I just, a lot of credit. Bev's escape. Who the hell's Bev?
Ben. You mean Ben, right?
I do. Okay, thank you. Ben's escape. So Ben locks the door, and then he goes out and he tries to commit suicide by falling off the roof. Apparently, John Hurt really wanted to do that stunt on his own, but they said that there was no way to guarantee that he wouldn't get hurt, so they wouldn't let him do it.
No, yeah, I'm on the studio side on this one. Strangely,
I'm on John Hurt's side, man. That just like one more thing that makes me love the man even more. Like, just like he deserves all the respect I have, because
I totally respect him for it. But yeah, no, if it were me, I'd be like, John, no, I'm right there with you. I get it, man, and I appreciate what you're trying to do. But fuck no, I will not be the director who killed John Hurt.
Yeah, okay, all right. If you want to take it to that place, then yeah, that's a very understandable place to feel that.
Yeah.
Justify as Luke coming up and then like cleaning the muck off his boots while standing in the middle of the mud. I thought that was a really clever thing to do, because it was like Justify was trying to play as though he was somebody who doesn't know how to be on a farm.
Mm-hmm.
and he literally in the like there's 10 feet of mud in every direction at least, and he is cleaning the mud off his shoe and then putting it right back in the mud. I thought that was a really funny and like a really good inclusion, and it just kind of sold Marshall's ignorance a little bit better, and I enjoyed that. Oh right, the creepy bonding, we talked about that,
right?
And then Cecile catches Justify flirting with Kate Hudson's character.
Yep. She ain't me yet.
Yep.
Mister.
I really enjoyed that, and so when Luke said, or Marshall, whatever his name is, when he says, "Oh, you know, you're the only woman for me," and she turns up, she's like, "I know no such thing," and take your notions or your preconceived notions or whatever, like basically get your mitts off me.
Right.
And I just love that because at first, when I first watched it, I thought that was the lawyer being like, "Oh, don't worry," and just, being friendly, bedside manner, whatever you want to call it, like lawyer's bedside manner, whatever you want to call it, sleazy charm. That's what I thought it was. But then the second movie, or the second watch, he's actually comforting his wife. Right. And this was a good movie to watch twice. This really was. I really enjoyed the second watch a lot. Let's see. Wow, we're actually... Yeah, see, that's kind of the thing. There wasn't a lot of movie in this movie, so it's really easy to bust through pretty quick.
That's the thing, yeah. Well, and that kind of goes to show what you were talking about with the pacing. A lot of the stuff we're talking about, these were story beats and character beats, and they were kind of drawn out, which, made the movie... like, for me, the only time I ever thought the movie was going on long was during the chase scenes.
Yes, I'll agree. That's where I realized...
Those were the moments where I was like, let's pick up the pace here. Yeah.
See... That was. Okay, so again, back to the skeleton key. Kate Hudson listening to the conjuration record. The existence of the record bothered me a little bit because I wanted to have the question as to whether Justify and Cecile had been doing this for like 1,000 years or something like that. But with the inclusion of the record, it kind of says that you needed to wait until recording technology existed so he could play the voice back. Otherwise, but also, even at the end of the movie, they call each other Cecile and Justify, which were their original names, and
and they even established that the blind lady. She even says like the guy was
Did you think the blind lady was a little girl? I thought she was. That's what I thought was happening.
From the house, the original story?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. No.
Man, I got that way wrong. I thought see, that's what I was saying, man. Like I saw some horror movie tropes that like I thought were there, but I was wrong.
Yeah, she might have had something to do with it. I think I didn't.
Oh, I forgot to mention because I just kind of ran over it. The red brick stripe that they have running across a lot of the things, if you notice, spread throughout the film, there's a red stripe in almost every scene. The encyclopedias sitting behind Marshall, or the lawyer in the office, they all have that red stripe, which a lot of them do, but they chose specifically ones that had the red stripe. When she went into the gas station, littered with red stripes all over the place. Not the beer, but like Coca-Cola, some racing cars, all this. Into the house, into the club, into everything. Red stripe across everything once you hit the South.
Right, yeah.
And I thought that was a really good inclusion. Did you know the difference between hoodoo and voodoo?
No, I don't think I did.
Neither did I until this movie, and I meant to look it up, and I don't know if this is actually accurate.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like the question that begs the question: is that actually how it is, or is it? Yeah, it wasn't something for this movie. But at the same time, it seemed like there was some degree of attempting some shade of realism to it. So I
at least real superstition based in real world superstition at the very least. Yeah. So what this movie said is voodoo is actually based off of a little bit Christianity God, the devil, all this, which very much does track from everything that I do know about voodoo and every representation that I have seen of it.
Right.
However, that basically crosses into hoodoo as well from a lot of the representations that I've seen of it, because hoodoo deals with hell as well. And if hell ain't... that's also like the devil in Christianity and stuff like that, even though basically almost every religion on the planet has an afterlife.
Right. And I imagine there's probably, to a certain degree, it's probably very similar to, every religion has breakoffs. Every religion has this version and that version. And so, there's probably some of that to the degree too.
But I did like the little explanation of voodoo being based in Christianity and religion, hoodoo being based in magic.
Right.
That I enjoyed that explanation. That was a really good one. I don't know if it's true. I mean, we're talking religion and magic, so is any of it true? That's debatable as hell.
Well, and that's kind of like that kind of brought me around to like this sort of like trying to, what's the word I'm looking for? Not politically correct it, something else. Because that is kind of a long-standing, horror trope, and even like fantasy trope. This idea of voodoo magic and stuff like that, and it is that whole thing is very, very, very couched in racism.
Yeah.
And so to try and draw a line between it to say we are now in this voodoo-based horror movie saying, oh, we're not talking about voodoo, we're talking about some other thing that's based off voodoo. We're gonna say, no, the voodoo is an actual religion, it's a real thing, these are fine people, nothing wrong with them, but here's the weirdos that do the same thing under a different name, is what this horror movie's about. So it felt like kind of almost like it could have just been a cop-out,
Well, they had to have the mechanic in there for something.
Maybe that was just me,
I've never heard this term before, but I really, really like it. And it was the story of the two-headed doctor. The term two-headed doctor, a doctor that helps people with real medicine and a doctor that helps people with magic medicine. I love that expression. That is a fantastic expression. I'm going to look it up. If it is not an original idea that is tailored to something specific, I'm stealing the shit out of that. I love that. That is like...
It is pretty cool. Cool, yeah.
Like there's stealing, and then there's just learning that something exists.
Yeah.
If that is something that is actually real, I cannot wait to use that somewhere. That is such a cool term. The Gena Rowland telling the party from the perspective of Cecile, the story of the party and all this, and then she's like, and as I hear tell, and all this stuff, which, yes, she is actually telling the story from her perspective because she was up in the attic. She didn't know what was happening. She heard all of this stuff afterwards when she was in the body of that little girl, which also... You're going to reincarnate you and your lover into a brother and sister? Whoa! That's not okay, man. That's rough.
No, that was kind of like one of those because you got one set of bad guys, which are the original owners of this, of this house. An evil banker screwing over all the working class people. Bad dude, beats his staff, real piece of shit. Whatever comes to him, he had coming.
Mm-hmm.
But the people who brought it to him were also themselves absolute pieces of shit because they didn't bring it to him. They brought it to his fucking kids.
Ooh, okay, you won me over. You won me over. Stealing the kids' souls, everything like that, and doing that transference, you're right. You won me over with that one. But the story that they were saying beforehand, which I didn't think about this was Cecile telling the story. So now I do understand a little bit. She talked about Justify and Cecile saying that the two-headed doctor, they healed the sick, they helped those in need, and they punished the wicked and all this stuff. Like, yeah, if you're talking about yourself and you're trying to whoop some stuff up, you might actually say it like that. So catching the perspective of Cecile and Justify from Cecile, you're right. I was warping that as though it was a truth, but it was coming from her perspective. That is a very good point. I completely missed that. Thank you. How do I talk about a...
You know,
can we just say that they got caught and then they...
It was bad. Like, thing? It was what Justified and Cecile set up deliberately, because that's the thing. They chose the time to do this little body swapping ceremony to steal the kids' bodies. They chose that smart time. Well, it was deliberate. They knew that when they got caught, that was exactly what was going to happen.
Like, the kids in their bodies, they would not be able to, like, nobody would listen to them, anything, and they would just be put to death immediately. It's true. They used racism to their advantage, but there's a part of me that just dies every time I watch a scene like that, and you have an ass ton of white characters dancing and smiling and really loving it. That it turns me because I know how real that was, and way to include it in the movie. I mean, I hate it, but it does make me uncomfortable because it's real. It doesn't make me uncomfortable because it's just made up and all this stuff.
Right.
It affected me because it's real. And I give credit to filmmakers being willing to go there, even if I hate watching it myself. Like, those are... Yeah. But then again, I didn't pick up a movie to go watch a feel-good comedy. I picked up a horror movie called The Skeleton Key.
This week, anyway.
This week, yeah. Now, okay, after the story, this is another thing too, using the reverse psychology or negging, or what do you, like, did they change the term again? Or is
no
it
one
still
told
negging?
me I haven't heard if it's been changed.
Okay, well, before it was negging, it was called reverse psychology. And they, like, when Gena Rowlands looks to her after telling the story and says, now you leave like all the rest. And that pushes her to stay there because she's like, I don't want to give up on these people. I don't want to give up on Ben and everything like that. No,
defy the expectations and all that.
The writing in this, the dialogue, they played her perfectly, and it made complete sense. And once again, throwing credit to Iain Softley. Is that correct? No, sorry, Ehren Kruger. Like, I really got to throw credit to that writing because there was not a single thing that was inappropriate, that was missed, that was unneeded, that was unnecessary. Everything was essential. Stop dragging your ass on scenes, though. We talked about the bathtub scene, but I just real quick want to go over it again just in case I wind up accidentally editing it out. When he's in the bathtub and she shows him the mirror, there's a question because very, like, earlier or very shortly after, she's looking through this little compact mirror and it's like she sees Cecile. You see a black woman, you see the bun up, you see it in the back, you see a quick glance. You actually see Cecile. She sees Cecile in the mirror. So that was the one thing that kind of messed with me in that aspect. Because when John,
I caught that.
I had to, I tried to get as eagle-eyed as I could on it on my second watch. But when Kate Hudson is in bed and she wakes up from that nightmare, which, oh my God, the nightmare, like how good they made her eyes and mouth look stitched closed. That looked so good and creepy. Plus, there was also the Chekhov's doll in the attic that had the stitched mouth and eyes. So, like, that was a good throw. Definitely not needed. Not needed. But it was good.
I felt like it was an insert for some reason because at no point did we get a far away shot to actually see where in the room it was, and we didn't see Kate Hudson. We just see Kate Hudson kind of turn around and look shocked, and then we see just a full frame shot of just the face of this doll, and then it's gone. Like, we never see it again. And so there's a part of me that's wondering if that was an afterthought because it didn't appear to be in the room anywhere afterwards.
Well, I mean, horror,
right,
jump scares and stuff like that. Like, yeah. I'm so excited for the next movie. All right. Gathering the spell material, when she goes and she meets the hoodoo lady, witch doctor, shaman, I don't know what you would call somebody in that particular situation. Everybody called her Mama.
Right.
But, okay, moving on then. John Hurt letting a single tear drop down when she starts doing the spell.
Yeah.
Dude, John Hurt. Man, like the terror, the hope, everything. Like once she starts and you see that tear come down, like it was like a tear of hope, and it just right out of me, man. I loved it. The dream guilt keeps her there. Right, obviously. Joy equating Ben to Kate Hudson's father and being like, he's not your dad.
She knows exactly
like,
what's going on, yeah.
Your friend knows exactly. Your friends, they know. And good on her for actually calling it out, and good on Kate Hudson for not denying it. Like, I really enjoyed both of those character aspects because there just wasn't time for denial in this movie.
No, it's true, yeah.
Like, you could have tried to put it in there, but then you would have been bordering on a rushed feeling because, like, you would
have required too many turnaround to come too quickly.
Yeah, it wouldn't have gone well. So it was a good idea.
Which again brings me back to what I was saying before. At no point are you not understanding what's going on in her head. Like, she is aware that. Yeah, I care about this guy to a ridiculous degree, and it's because I feel bad about my dad, and that doesn't make me wrong, so I'm going to do it anyway. And so, sure. You're just like, oh, and even if you're not a caretaker type person, you're like, okay, I get it, let's do this.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've all been there. We've all had damage come from one place or something like that, and it affects and it bleeds into our life, and we think about other stuff, and we make our decisions based off of what we wish we would have done in the past. Mm-hmm. Unbelievably understandable situation. Here is what they could have cut out. Visiting the older nurse. The nurse who went there and then left. That entire scene could have been cut out. It didn't actually add anything to the movie. We knew that there were nurses that went there and left. We knew all that stuff. She didn't say anything. The only thing that she said is, my mama said that house is nothing but blood and death. There was no, that information was already established. Everything that we knew about the house and the characters that we learned from that character had already been established before. That entire scene could have been cut out, and I believe that would have fixed the pacing.
Possibly, yeah.
At least it would have done a lot for it, because that was like a 7-minute scene, and it did not belong there. Again, more red stripes all over this. I caught this the second time, but she was always cutting John Hurt's hair. Scene after scene after scene after scene. She was cutting his hair, and I realized it was for a spell. It was like, oh, fucking obviously that's why she needed to take hair and do fresh hair for the spell to keep things going and everything like that.
Right, yeah.
Which
that's probably what his remedy was made of.
That's what I was guessing. Yeah. And so I really enjoyed that. Trying to lure this is okay. So now I'm going to talk about it. Trying to lure Gena Rowlands into the room when you had the red brick dust that was there. Mm-hmm. I don't think the red brick dust actually did anything. I think that they let her, they followed the rules of the red brick dust to help Kate Hudson's character start believing.
And that definitely played into it. I'm for sure. I think that was definitely the case. Maybe even later on.
Because otherwise, how did the dude get past the brick afterwards? And he just he's walking past them. He's casually walking through the whole house, past the rooms, heading up towards Cecile. Yeah. So I think that they used that as a mechanic just to make her believe.
Right, but then but she even kind of, to a certain degree, because after she lays the brick dust down, she covers it up with the carpet so that it can't be seen.
But they threw an insert shot later on where the line was 2 inches in front of the carpet and completely perfectly little beautiful pile. So
I guess I missed that then. Yeah. Okay.
So well, then, you're right. She did do that, but when they put that insert shot in there, I think it was supposed to show that maybe it didn't get as messed up as we literally saw it get.
Right.
So I think because they even said, like, at the end, before, like, after everything's done, they're like, you got to go through all these hoops to make them believe and get them all riled up and all this stuff.
Right.
So I don't know, but I think that's just something, because it makes sense. If you're the bad guy, and you're like, yeah, Rick and Morty, Sanchezium, like, you want your enemies to use something that they think is going to be your weakness, but you want to trick them into thinking that, even though it's not going to do anything to you.
Right.
Basically, that's what I think that these guys were doing. Because all the, like, goofa dust, salt, all the purifying things that we actually know about in real world superstitions, red brick has nothing to do with any of it. It is literally clay. It is dirt. You go outside, your entire house is surrounded with brick dust anyway. It's called dirt.
Right. Well, but then at the same time, like, all the other places she went, like, remember when she went to the old blind lady's house?
But that's what I'm talking about. I'm saying Cecile and Justify may have been laying this groundwork for like 100 years.
Oh, you think they spread the rumor?
Yes. So everybody around them thinks that they're safe from them, but Cecile and Justify can literally do whatever they want because they tricked everybody into thinking that they're safe.
So it wasn't just her that they were tricking. They were tricking the whole town all at once.
That is where that's what I want to believe. That's what I want to believe. Because it just makes Cecile and Justify that much more badass. Again, like when she runs away from the place, she hides Ben in the garden shed and then dips and runs to the lawyer's house. Instead of the police, instead of to the hospital, she left an elderly man in a garden shed, covered his face in rain, and doesn't immediately go to the hospital and be like,
that one...
Bless you.
Excuse me. Oh, God, that hurt my back.
Oh, been there.
Okay. Where was I before I had an old man moment?
She doesn't go to the police.
Right. That got me. I remember it was like, it wasn't until she was like paddling halfway through the swamp that I sat there and I all of a sudden went like, wait, what's your fucking plan here? You're like, you hid the dude in the shed and then you went to get the boat. It would make sense if she was still trying to find ways to get out, that she'd be like, oh, boat, put him on the boat, we'll get out of here. But instead she got on the boat by herself and paddles away. And I'm like, you fucking left him behind. But to their credit, like I said, you never not in her head. She did when she did get to the lawyer's house, she was like, no, we have to do something now. I left him behind. This is a now thing,
Then there was the over-convenience of my grandma and your grandma, like that record that was playing.
Sorry. Just to go back 1 second, though, while we're at it, while we're talking about that escape, there was absolutely no way in hell a Volkswagen Bug was getting through an iron gate. But why did she even try? That was one of the first moments where I was like, what? Are you stupid, child?
I got to give you that one. Because as soon as that started happening, I looked at that and went, well, that's not going to happen.
Right? You don't need magic to keep a Volkswagen Bug behind that gate. Like, no.
True. The engine is not powerful enough. However, at least she tried with a real metal vehicle. And it wasn't a plastic vehicle, because a plastic vehicle would never have done anything to that thing. At least they had a solidly metal vehicle, because I'm glad that they actually damaged the gate a little bit. But yeah, that wasn't gonna go. No. Damn it! I'm gonna do this thing. In her defense, though, if you are trying to ram something and it's got a chain around it, you don't have to break the entire gate down. You only have to break the one of the two bars that the chain is connected to.
Okay, that's fair.
So,
still,
I would still give it a go. If I was in that situation, because why not? You're literally just not trying something just because.
Here's the thing: is like there was a gate there, I don't remember seeing a fence. She could have driven through the bushes instead and would have had a better shot.
No idea. Literally no idea. But also, this was what, Mississippi? What was this?
Louisiana Bayou.
Okay, yeah. Let's just go. You haven't spent much time down there, have you?
No, I've never been.
Yeah, if you go off the road in a place that is that marshy, you're stuck.
That's a good point. Okay, all right, you got me there. All right.
Okay,
yeah.
all right. First time thought. Okay, yeah. So the first time, he gets her back to the house, everything like that, and Cecile, she fights off Cecile, and then Cecile falls down. When she hits the ground, I thought the lawyer was screaming because exactly what Kate Hudson said. She's your ticket to immortality, and she's going to teach you all this stuff. And then he's like, no! And I thought exactly what Kate Hudson thought. That he looked at that and just watched immortality slip through his fingers. And so I thought that was his reaction. The second time, watching the love of your 3 lives go and hit the ground, his reaction, very understandable. And that's why I say, man, this movie was a lot of fun to watch twice, because you definitely got to watch 2 different movies. If you're me, if you're you, whatever. Yeah, she gets cornered up in the attic. Everything is lit up, all this. And I just love the way Gena Rowland comes through and says, well, my child, I think you broke my legs. Oh my God.
No,
I
Gena
fell so in love
Rowland
with
really
her
was
every
the
time she opened her
superstar of
mouth.
this movie. As great as everyone was, Gena Rowland was the superstar.
She was the powerhouse in this.
Yeah.
To have John Hurt in this movie and never say more than 5 words.
Mm-hmm. Very nearly a non-speaking role. Very
nearly. And yet, crushed it. Gena Rowland just absolutely crushed it. And I really liked it. I really enjoyed this. I'm not going to put it as a must watch, but I'm also never ever going to tell somebody not to watch this. This is not a movie I would say don't watch.
I wouldn't tell anyone not to watch it if they were planning on if we were talking it's back in the day and someone's channel surfing and lands on it and they go, "Oh, this looks good." I wouldn't be like, "No." It's not. I think here's the thing. I feel bad because I don't like to be that critic who never has anything good to say about a movie, but here I am, second week in a row, going, this was because it's like I said before, technically everything was done right here. The cast is fantastic, but I kind of walk away from this movie going, well, like I said, I there were no surprises to me. There was no. I hate saying this, but I didn't see the point to the movie at the end of the day. I would not even if someone was a Kate Hudson fan and is I love everything I see her in, I wouldn't go, "Oh, have you seen Skeleton Key?" I would say, "Have you seen Almost Famous?" But that's and I mentioned to you before the show started, that was I was almost done with watching this movie. I was it was the line when she's in the house and she's spreading the brick dust all over the house to cut off their avenues to come at her. Okay. And the lawyer comes in and goes, "Violet, I can't get her. She's fixed the door." And he yells that line. That was the part that I went, I've seen this movie before. I was hours into this movie before I remembered that I had already seen it, because this is a forgettable movie. There's nothing special about it. There's no shocking twists, in my opinion. There's no angle to it that makes it, stand above the rest of its genre. No. The fact that it has a cast like Hudson, Saarsgard, and Hurt in it is.
But this was not made as a horror movie. This was not made as a horror movie.
It's not made as a horror movie. It was certainly advertised as one. I mean, you look at the poster. That is a horror movie.
This happened
poster.
after the fact. Skeleton Key, they did rebranding after its opening weekend because its opening weekend was like absolutely terrible. It did, however, make I think 146 million foreign on a budget of only 43 million for this film. So they definitely made their money back on it.
Sure.
But it was after they rebranded it because it was supposed to be like more of an adventure type thing, and it definitely was not. So they instead rebranded it as a well-made horror flick. Which it's not a horror flick. It just just isn't. So if you are going to if you're looking to gear up and watch a horror movie, I don't think this is going to really satisfy you. If you're sitting down to watch a suspenseful drama, I think this will satisfy.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe. And that's just it. It's a maybe. That's why I say it's not a must watch. It's not a guarantee. However,
if you happen to catch it on cable, there's worse ways you can spend your time, I suppose.
If you're a fan of Gena Rowlands, I would recommend this.
Okay, sure, yeah. Because she definitely, she brings the thunder.
Yeah, she chews the scenery and she left nothing. She yeah. So if you're a fan of Gena Rowlands, which probably not many young people are, but if you're a little bit older and you may have missed this one and you like her, this is a good one to go see.
Sure, why not?
Any final thoughts?
I'm probably going to forget this movie again. 10 years from now, someone's going to bring it up and I'll be like, no, I've never seen it, never heard of it. I don't know, because it is in every way unspecial to me. There's nothing wrong with it. But it's not especially good. It's not especially bad. It is technically fine, but nothing about it stands out to me as being a great, shining top line example of anything. Not even storycraft. It's very run of the mill. Like I said, I like. It would
have made a good episode of something, but
sure,
as a movie.
In fact, I think this was an episode of Friday the 13th, the series. Now that I think about it,
couldn't even tell you.
Don't tell me you actually enjoyed this movie.
I told you I was going to give you my revenge. The perfect revenge is taking this movie that you do not like and you put to me to watch even though you didn't like it, and I'm going to go through it. But here's the thing about it. First time,
you watched it twice. You actually forced yourself to go through this movie twice.
This is the job, man. This is the thing. I got to be able to talk about it like the first time, second time. So you're gonna regret this so much, Doc. It's not a good movie.
That's putting it mildly.
Yeah. It is a great video game movie. It is a great video game movie. It is a top tier video game movie. Willy's Wonderland, directed by Kevin Lewis, written by Geo Parsons, starring Nicolas Cage, Emily Tosta, Beth Grant, with Rick Reitz, Chris Warner, Caylee Cowan, Kai Kadlec, Jonathan Mercedes, Terayle Hill, Christian Delgrosso, and David Sheftell. Now, this is not a good movie, as I said. However, once you realize how you're supposed to view this movie, it's a great movie.
How you're supposed to view the movie.
And see, that's the trick.
I'm interested to hear what your take is on that.
So,
because I know how I viewed this movie, and that didn't make it any better for me.
So this movie is straight up a video game character. This is like what, like for a lot of people, you and me, damn, this would not work on a first watch because this movie is watching a video game character go through on his like 40th play of the game, knowing whatever is going to happen and speed running everything. So the stakes are low, but the entertainment is high. Nicolas Cage was a speedrun character a speedrun game character
Nicolas Cage is Leroy Jenkins in this movie. Is what you're saying? Is that what you're saying?
Yep. Yes. All right. So, with that painted, let's get into it. The opening scene has "It's Your Birthday," the whole song, the first murder being shown, and the intro. All this, like, really, really cheesy. Like, the production value wasn't very high. I get it. I completely understand. Just cheeseball. In some movies, it's really fun to sit back and just watch a cheeseball popcorn film. Like, that is what some movies are for. This is definitely one of those. This movie did an insert shot correctly. Nick Cage is driving his car, and you have no explanation, you have nothing. They just threw an insert shot of some dog tags hanging from the rearview mirror, giving some character information about the character has training, the character knows how to use firearms, and the character has experience. Never, ever mentioned again. Just that shot of the dog tags is all of the character development that you got in understanding that. That is how you use an insert shot. That is how you use an insert shot.
All right.
And
yeah.
So I got to give them that. This movie was definitely a Chevy advertisement, or it was sponsored by Chevy. That car, my God, that was like watching an episode of White Collar. It was ridiculous. Punch Pop. And I even wrote, definitely a video game movie after I saw the Punch Pop. For God's sakes, dude, that was his power boost. Dude, I literally have the video game rules that the movie's set up for listed off here, and it makes complete and perfect sense. We get the intro to Chris Warner, and he comes in after the tires have been blown on the car, and he's sucking on that Slim Jim. Very, very tropey decision to have that. Mm-hmm. And Nick Cage is in the vehicle with him, and this guy will not shut up. So I was thinking that might have been a character decision, so that the character doesn't want to hear anybody else's personal stories. Like, he's heard all these stories, he's got enough guilt, he's trying to forget all this stuff. He's just talking nonstop because he doesn't want to hear another one. Doc, you gave me this movie, I'm gonna make it a good movie.
Oh, why would you?
I am assigning this. I am assigning this. During the okay, yep, I already said that.
You're just rewarding bad behavior. You realize that?
Yeah. Okay. This was my first giant issue with this movie. Emily Tosta, her arson intro, throwing gasoline on the building and all this. Then she lights the lighter, and the cop shows up, and she doesn't just drop the lighter and start the building on fire. She's trying to burn down this psycho serial killer and all this, and it's not a fire department that's standing right behind her, it's just a cop. So she already has the entire thing set up, and she has a lighter lit in her hand, and she just shuts the lighter, and she just goes, "Ah, damn it," and shuts the lighter instead of doing that. That was dumb. Also, I finally realized why I thought Emily Tosta was so familiar. I thought she was Laura Harrier. That was just such a dumb decision not to just drop it right there. Beth Grant as the sheriff was uncomfortably believable as a psychotically abusive foster parent. Like, I was like, damn, Beth. The mechanic is keeping missing posters as trophies, which kind of takes a little bit of hit on my maybe he doesn't want to hear any more stories, because he's keeping trophies of all the missing posters of the people that he set up to die. So I gotta maybe walk that one back. Tex, played by Rick Reitz, and he plays the tape for the first exposition dump, which is all the robots' names, a little bit of what happened to it, and everything like that, which if you guys are the ones who are playing or are the victims to having to set all this stuff up for that, they played way too comfortable with it. But Beth Grant's character as the sheriff is the only one that actually made sense to me in that degree, because she was guided by fear, plain and simple.
Yeah.
And I will get to that. I love that Willy moves and then Cage just gives him the stare down. Like again, like, because like I said, this is like a character who's really good at this, or a person who's really good at this game, going back and playing it for like the 50th time, just hanging out because he has an hour on Sunday or something. Like,
yeah. That's why he's a drifter. He's going from town to town killing animatronic demons. Yeah, that's his job. Yeah.
Oh, just wait until the very last note that I have written here.
Oh God.
Okay. So I'm guessing that the reason that Nick Cage is constantly changing his shirt, and the reason that all the victims are wearing the shirts, is the shirt is the target that, or like, it paints the target for the robots to go after. So Nick Cage has to keep changing his shirt every time it gets dirty and stuff like that. So the target is purely him, and it's not supposed to be anybody else. So if that was intentional, I thought it was nice because it did set up some mechanics and some rules, and they followed it.
I mean, I think you're giving a little too much credit there.
I'm giving too much credit to every single thing I'm doing here. This is my revenge, Doc. The best revenge is happiness. And I forced myself to love this.
Oh, my God.
But once I actually got in the groove, it wasn't too hard. It really wasn't, because once I started looking at this in a certain light, it became very, very fun and very entertaining. But
What have I done?
But the absolutely massive collection of in-motion stereotypes. Sometimes it worked, but it was never not forced. You had the dreamy white dude who's in love with the main chick. Then you have the asshole white dude who's in love with the main chick. Then you have the stereotypical, what was it? I think it was Terayle. Let's see. Terayle Hill's character was like, they put him as playing like the roaming stereotype from the 90s. Then you had the black nerd. You had the super slut played by I think it was Caylee Cowan. And almost all of those performances made me very uncomfortable, except for Terayle Hill's, which was the most over the top stereotypical. But for some reason, he was really entertaining while doing it, which out of all of these actors, I think he's the one who actually has gotten the most work since. Did you ever watch Cobra Kai?
Oh yeah, I love Cobra Kai. Great show. That show is 1,000 times better than it has any right to be.
Very true. Very true. And I love it. I cannot wait for the new season. He is in basically the entire first season.
Who does he play?
The two gangbangers that Robbie is like mixed up with in season 1.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, he's super funny in that, and he's basically playing the same character. I don't know what it is about this guy. He's just really funny to watch. I really enjoy him. And some people just have that.
Yeah.
I remember laughing real hard the second Nick Cage started cleaning the joint. Like, he actually picked up all the materials and everything like that. He started actually cleaning, and it wasn't that they just showed a hand and like cleaned some stuff and then they wiped to like the whole place was clean. They actually had hours of Nick Cage going through and cleaning, and the whole thing was set up in like you're blanking on the word. When the camera only grabs a couple, like a frame every like 15 seconds or something.
Time lapse. Yeah.
So like it kind of seemed like he was doing a time lapse and actually cleaning the whole place up. So there was a moment that I was like, did Nick Cage buy this building and actually want to do this and like just film himself and having fun? Like, I had that moment, but we're about to get there. Puts his power-up stash in place, and then the only continuity error in the entire movie. Now, I'm a stickler for this, so I was really impressed that in a movie like this there was only one continuity error, just one. And the Band-Aid that he has over here, he's cleaning up, and that Band-Aid shows up in an insert shot before he actually gets injured. So, bad insert shot.
Right.
Video game mechanics. Cleaning the area turns the turf to yours. Very, very classic video game mechanics. Being dirty is his version of an injury, so every time he gets dirty, he has to get clean to restore his health. Punch Pop is a power boost, and that's why he has to take it every time he goes into battle, and playing pinball recharges the character.
Okay.
All of those mechanics in place, the movie followed them. This was one of the best video game movies I've ever seen, because they actually made the movie as though it was a video game. They didn't go, this is a video game that has this story, so we're going to tell this story on screen. No, this is a fucking video game. This is like watching YouTube and just checking somebody else that like really powerhouses a game, is really, really good at it. This is basically that. Not a movie for people like us. For people who grew up in the generation of sitting back watching somebody else play a game is one of the worst things. It's basically torture for a kid.
Right.
Somehow the society changed that one. I don't know how that happened, but this is for them. And I think it works really well when you're looking at it in the right light. Then Big Bird attacks, and that's when you really see the whole like speedrunning aspect. If you've played a game enough and you go in, you know the boss's attack moves and everything like that. So Nick Cage comes in, the bird comes in, block, 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 everything. And the bird's just like, what? And Nick Cage just like brings it home. And I thought that was so much fun to watch. It made no sense. It was goofy as hell, but it was fun to watch. And that's where it won. I'm going to make a little space here because you're being very quiet.
Well, it's as you say, it's all in the light of how you look at it. I'm going to save my light-altering comments for later, till the end.
No, it's not. I mean, you got, like, come on, man. I know you got some things you're thinking about on what I'm saying, so come on. What you got?
This movie, and this is the thing, is like you say it's, it's all about how you look at it, it's all in the light of it, and, this was a video game mechanic type movie. Okay, for sure. Here's the thing, though. This was the thing that, and that kind of set me off from the very beginning, from as the credits are rolling, that I'm like, oh shit. And so that was the light that I saw it in, and just made kind of everything that came afterwards made me more and more angry. This movie was produced by Chicken Soup for the Soul. Which, if you don't, for those of you watching, if you don't know who Chicken Soup for the Soul is, it is a Christian book company. They make essentially a tragedy porn for Christians about people dying of cancer and finding Jesus in the last second, and that's supposed to be a happy story for them. That is the kind of people who made this movie.
This is a biblical story, though, or not? Maybe not from the Bible, but this is a story that you've probably performed in the play or won a play version of The Sacrifice.
No, I have not.
Never?
Nope.
You remember the episode? Essentially,
I went to school in Oregon.
Yeah, way more theater than North Dakota.
Yeah, but we don't do Christian stuff.
Ah, damn.
These were the connections that I made. See, first of all, it's made by Chicken Soup for the Soul. Mm-hmm. Second of all, our bad guys are all Satan worshiping child molesters. So I mean, this is basically this is one of those like Jesus-based horror houses you hear about, where every Halloween some church has to make that, because they know haunted houses are popular, so they want to do a religious-based haunted house where they show all the people going to hell. Like, this is the movie version of that, updated a little bit more to make sure the QAnon crowd enjoys it. That's what this movie is. This movie is a QAnon movie.
I completely didn't see that, and I'm glad that my brain did not go there at the beginning of the movie, because it might have painted how I was seeing it. But just looking at the movie from the perspectives that I was getting as I was going, because I was like, okay, what is this movie? What is this movie? Oh, it's this.
It's a satanic panic, haunted house. Everyone, going to hell. Government conspiracy. That's where the QAnon thing comes in, because the sheriff and the mayor and everybody are all in on it.
Oh, come on. That is the lowest hanging of the QAnon fruit at all. Those people believe that pizza parlor are serving babies. This
takes place in a pizza parlor that serves babies.
Oh, fuck. Oh my God! I completely.
You see what I mean when I told you last week? If you told me this movie was grown in a lab in Wuhan, I would believe you, because it was not. It was made by. This movie was made by people who think that people who watch movies are assholes and just need to be scared into joining Jesus.
Super protective over the script. Like, he was super protective over the script.
Nick Cage
was, yeah. Like, they took a lot of hits, they took a lot of everything, because Nick Cage was unbelievably protective over the script.
I find that hard to believe. Especially considering Nick Cage didn't speak in this movie.
Yeah, I know.
Like, they could
Would you say that he didn't have, like 80% of the movie he doesn't talk? No, he don't talk.
No, I said he was in 80% of the movie and doesn't say a single word, is what I said.
Oh. My bad. I misunderstood that then. Okay. So now we meet David Sheftell as the annoying deputy to bring in more exposition. That character, we know completely why that character exists, and it literally is just for exposition. So, yeah, whatever. The relaxed jazz music to the sensual cleaning of the pinball machine. Who making this movie was saying what message with that? I really want to know, because that was very, very, and it goes deeper. Well, I should have chosen a different word a little bit later. But the bathroom cleaning and the gorilla fight scene, so dumb, so stupid, and just like slapping the gorilla in the face. I was not hoping for a good movie, like a cinematic beauty or anything like that. I was hoping for something that was stupid and to have fun and just be able to look up at the screen and have some fun and laughs with it. That's what that was. All the way up to dragon stomping the gorilla through the urinal. That I was having fun. Like, that was the thing. That was the thing. Like, I wasn't trying to take this movie seriously. I wasn't looking for a Ted Bundy story or anything like that. This is very clearly stupid and goofy. So you just got to appreciate it and just take it from there. I will say my most hated moment of this entire thing was Nicolas Cage cleaning his nails with sandpaper. I hated that to such a degree, and I was so happy that I didn't have headphones in, because that is one of the... I hate that. Like, it's a good sound. I actually enjoy the sound of sanding. The feel of sandpaper rubbing up against my nails is one of my most hated feelings.
Oh, I understand what you're saying there. Yeah, no.
So the most unnerving part of this entire movie was sandpaper on his nails. I know that's weird. That's a me thing.
No, I get it. I've used sandpaper too, yeah, and when it accidentally gets you, it's an unsettling feeling, yeah.
Yeah, and I've my friggin' my hands are nothing but calluses right now, and yeah, I've used plenty of sandpaper, and I like my gloves.
Yeah.
These fools, they show up to burn the building down, and they pour all of the gasoline before going inside the building.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just way to really tell the audience that the teenagers in this movie are unbelievable fucking morons.
Well, I mean,
Like,
like they had
wow.
no, like the makers of this movie had no respect for any part of it, not its core audience, not its characters, nothing. Like this was, yeah,
I
no,
felt
like,
that with the teenagers, but the adults, I felt like the adults were just having a good time. Like,
well, that is always the question. I mean, we've seen cases where a movie is made to make one message, but all of like the people involved, like there's like
got an
Con Air
example?
for
Okay,
Con Air.
nice.
Con Air was a movie that was meant to be made to have one message, which is like the all of these types of people, your black militants, your gays, your educated, these are all evil people that are all psychopaths, and then you've got your Nicolas Cage, war hero dude. He's the one to say, he's the veteran come to save the day. This was a very kind of like one-sided mentality, but everybody
Oh my god,
involved in
that's true. There was one character on Con Air that the only crime you really knew of was that it was a drag queen. Like you didn't even, it just did
yeah,
drag. I don't even. What was that character's crime?
he was gay. That was, and he was therefore there to destroy America. That was the idea.
Oh, it's
Um,
so twisted.
yeah, but there's the thing though, is that in the making of the movie, you get folks like Cusack and uh,
Rooker.
Malkovich involved, and once you get like a cast in there who are playing with the characters, and you get a director there who's having fun, then it doesn't matter what Bruckheimer as the producer wanted to say with the movie. They're not in on the joke. They're going to make it what they want to make, and so you have a movie that's fun and doesn't tell that message deliberately anyway. And so that's kind of where you got to sit there, and a movie like this where your movie is the message of your movie is kids are stupid and they're going to fall to Satan unless we save them. How many people in the movie were in on the joke, and how many were went like, okay, we're going to do what we can with this because it's a job, so at the
Mm-hmm.
very least we're going to. And it's kind of hard to tell. That's the thing in this. It's hard to tell who in the cast was along with the ride in this bullshit satanic panic story that the chicken soup for the soul people were trying to make.
Okay, I'll give you that. And also, so Kaylee Cowan and Emily Tosta, they've been in some like Christian movies and stuff like that afterwards. So I think that you are right. Because I watched some previews of some of their other work. I'm sorry, but they haven't taken off yet. Terayle Hill, though, I think he's going. I think he's going. I think he's gonna get somewhere. He is charismatic. He's funny. Yes, racially stereotypical for Hollywood do black teenagers in a movie like this. However, I mean, he crushed it. Like he was fucking entertaining every single thing that he said. So for a movie where like if he went into this movie like, yeah, I'm just gonna do a reel, but that wasn't what this movie was. It was a Nick Cage movie.
Right.
Like, so all right, the air duct attack from the Gator bot. Um, both of these movies that we covered this week had sped up moments in scenes. Like Kate Hudson, when she was running around the attic and stuff like that, they removed some frames to make her go a little bit faster. And
Right.
I never really like when they do that because you have to do that very, very well to make that work. And
Right.
and what I've learned through the years is you're only supposed to remove certain frames. So the rest of the like certain portions of the frames in it, so the background stuff is not also moving at super speed.
Right.
If you don't do that, it's really freaking jarring.
And it's difficult too, because it's one of those things where it's like you can tell that that's happening as an afterthought in editing. For some reason, they felt
Yeah.
like she needed to get there faster, and they
Yeah.
didn't have the footage. Because if they had filmed it that way with the intention of making it look faster, one of the easiest tricks that I see used all the time, and it amazes me at how well it works, is to put things in the foreground that cross by quickly as the background character you're focusing is going by. It makes it makes things seem like they're going faster, like, you know, but you didn't get that shot because you didn't think you'd have to speed her up.
That makes sense. But then, like, the guy's like, I call it no clue. How much THC is it? No clue. It's like, oh god, anything.
To the Christian conservatives, that's quality pot humor, is what that is.
Oh, definitely. Oh, I'll give you. Oh, damn it, you're right. You're right. I gotta lower my bar. I gotta remember who I'm talking to here. I gotta remember that. Caylee Cowan climbing up the ladder, so overexaggerated. Like, there's one thing when you have a character who's trying to play a voluptuous personality or very sultry or whatever, and then, yeah, you got them hips going side to side and stuff like that when they're walking. Fine. If you're climbing a ladder and your hip goes 1.5 feet one way and 1.5 feet the other way, my God. Just my God. But then again, Terayle, okay, damn it, Bradley. I really wish I was comfortable. I should have tried to say this name a few times out loud before we went. I'm going to have to get into the practice of that. But yes, Terayle Hill, when she's climbing up there, and just, I don't know if this was an improv line. It feels like it because of how funny it was, and it was in this movie.
Right.
But as she's climbing up, and he's like, and he's just like trying to cover up her panties as she's climbing the ladder and all that. The way he said that was different than every other line he said in the entire movie. So I think that was a little bit of an improv line. And like, that was him breaking character, like actually trying to cover up the actors. But also it was so prevalent in that moment that I'm pretty sure that it was very intentional, at least to show her butt.
Right. Well, that's the amazing, and that's, you know, look, as someone who, in my old age, I have learned to live with the part of me that cannot help but objectify some of the ladies on screen.
They film them that way.
Yeah, it's like I am deeply, deeply, viciously offended by the hypocrisy of someone who is trying to say this type of this sexual being version of a woman is, you know, beneath everyone, while going out of their way to overtly sexualize and expose
I see where
them.
You're going.
Like, that's the thing. It's like, this was, like, again, this is clearly a conservative Christian movie, a conservative mindset, and
yet
so
they had this
absolutely sexualized this
so hard.
Yeah, like this was a meat market type of thing, you know, like, and it's like, that's kind of one, like, it's like, yeah, I get the, you know, the whole male gaze thing is a thing, and I understand, and I wish we could find some middle ground there for us all to be happy. But this especially,
that ain't how humans work.
Yeah, this especially bothered me because of how far they went to objectify this girl while pretending to be on this moral high ground of being above the temptations of the flesh kind of thing, you know. And that's bothered me since I was like 8 years old. And so this was an especially triggering movie for me. That's part of what the whole thing, because it's like I've grown up with people like this in my life, and it was all of them all in one movie.
Okay, that does paint a lot of perception. You never should have looked at the production company before watching this.
I didn't look. It's in the opening credits.
No, I know. I saw it. I forgot about it, and then I saw it, and I got reminded of you saying it.
Not this one, though.
Not for you. No, not for you. I could actually go back and watch this again and actually have some fun with it, because it is. It's just, it's not meant to be a good movie. It's just meant to be a little goofy and fun. And sometimes I would like that because the problem is too many people try to make the perfect movie and they try to like do this great amazing message and all that. Well, the fact is not that many people are capable of doing it. So what you wind up with is like 5 truly amazing movies and 400 absolute missed the mark piles of shit. I would rather watch a movie that knows it's a bad movie and is having fun with it than a movie that is trying to be a great movie and fucking it up every step along the way.
I agree with you 100%. Like I said before, I genuinely do not believe this movie was made in good faith.
And I got it. And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Just different perspectives here. When they're up on the roof and they fall through the roof. Okay, this is something that I really hated, like, absolutely to my core. They fell through a roof. We're just going to toss, like, 6 pieces of styrofoam on you. And then they cut to Nick Cage being thrown into that very same ball pit, and for some reason, they do a bottom-up shot showing the ceiling, and the ceiling is fixed. If you're gonna do that, just don't point the camera in that direction again.
Yeah, like, you know fuck. What? I think you hit on something. I think the reason why Nick Cage kept changing his shirt is so that they wouldn't have those continuity issues of the different types of grime, having to keep track of how much blood is where. I think they just wanted to make.
I think that was the video game mechanic. No. I'm sticking with that because it was too focused on. Oh my god! And then she falls through, or no, everybody falls through, and then Nick Cage goes and sees Emily Tosta, and then he just goes and like, caveman, pick up, go, walk 3-step, put down. What the fuck was that? Why? And then the unbelievable exposition dump, and the two go off to bang and die. Okay, Jamie Kennedy told us this in Scream. If you're in a horror movie and you recognize you're in a horror movie, keep your pants on, because that's how you die.
Yep.
And literally, the very Christian thing, the characters who were off banging and like doing the sin and stuff like that,
immediately.
They had to die. They had to. So I understand the Christian. Like, damn it, damn you, Doc. Okay, I understand it, and yeah, that does ruin some things.
That's all I've done.
Discussing the satanic ritual, which you already brought up, and then the gladiator knight fight, or whether it was a gladiator or a knight, I wasn't 100% sure. That one was really funny, where the black nerd like slips on the blood and then just barely has the thing go over him. That was funny. Didn't belong in this movie, which it was one of the very few actual really funny things. But it didn't belong in this movie. That belonged in a different movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, and set aside from that, the kid died like immediately right after anyway. So the whole point of putting that in there. What was
the point? Yeah.
Yeah, like should have had a different character do that. I forgot I wrote this. Yeah. So in a horror movie, don't have sex because the horror movie rules: death by snoo.
Right. Especially in,
oh, come on. You didn't get the death by snoo joke?
No, I get it. I just feel like,
that was funny.
Yeah.
The death of Jonathan Mercedes and Christian Delgrosso. Yeah, the gator death slap fight was just a little bit funny. And then the obvious kill for the gator. I mean, you obviously know where that's going to go. The chameleon manipulation with the pretty-haired boy. Now that we're talking Christian connotations and all of that, was she supposed to be the devil?
I don't remember that scene, so I don't know.
Yeah, so the chameleon goes through and she's like, I'm not like the others. They're mean to me. They make fun of me because of my colorful skin and all of this stuff. And he's like, and he comes up, he's like, no, it's okay. She's one of the good ones. She's going to help us. And then she kills him. It's like, you really made that character dumb. Oh, okay. Oh, right. This had me laughing way too hard, and not because, and it's because of something that you and I would get, but I don't think the generation below us would get. When Nick Cage is going through with the chameleon and he has like the rope around her neck and like swinging the chameleon around, he keeps going, "Gwah! Gwah! Gwah!" And you know why I'm laughing, don't you?
Yeah.
That damn politician. What was his name? Do you remember his name? 2006.
Yeah.
It was like, we're gonna go all the way to the ocean. Wow!
Yeah, I remember that, and I'm blanking on his name too. Yeah.
But as soon as he started doing that, that is everywhere that my brain went, and it could not come back. So I was laughing my ass off for a personal thing. I don't know if the movie meant to do that. However, the fact that he made that exact noise, and that is one of the only sounds he makes in the entire movie, I think was on purpose.
Like it might have been on purpose, yeah. I don't know,
but it was funny. It was funny.
It's a really deep cut of a reference if it is, because like, yeah, political nerds of our age are the only ones who are really gonna get that.
Okay. Liv's origin story and who they sacrifice. Yeah, so that's pulling in the very intro scene to her mom and dad being the couple that got killed in the beginning. But why would these serial killers leave this little girl? That didn't make any sense. They didn't actually inform on that. They didn't explain that. And set aside, if these were serial killers who in life were specifically going after kids, it made even less sense. So that was a dumb thing, but whatever. The sheriff's decisions are completely steered by thinking Willy can't die and her fear of repercussions. So the two dudes at the beginning of the movie that set everything into motion with Nick Cage and bringing him there,
right?
I didn't feel fear from them. I felt zero fear from them.
No,
the entire time through this movie.
They were,
go ahead.
Yeah, it seemed like that they were pretty much okay with the whole thing. Like, was their whole, like, this is just how it works, you know?
But Beth Grant's character, I actually felt her fear, her panic. Like when she finds out that he killed a couple of the other ones and everything like this, I thought that sure. Yeah, like how afraid she was, how much all of that. Aw, we just lost all of our viewers.
How many do we have?
We had 6 and we just went down to 1, so I'm just gonna check over on YouTube real quick and make sure that we're still live. Okay, still alive. That was weird. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, it was a weird drop, yeah.
Yeah, just don't like me talking about Beth Grant. Oh, damn it. And I killed my notes. There we go. But as she was going through, literally, she was terrified. And I felt her terror. I felt like when she found out that Nick Cage killed a couple of them, she's like, oh my God, it's just going to make things worse. Like, she basically, I felt her fear. And singing Beth Grant's praises. But then again, Beth Grant has been around forever, and she's in everything.
She's one of those people who will just suddenly appear and be perfect and then disappear.
But she's a Western actor. Like, she's been in a lot of Westerns and a lot of plays. Like, when she wants to bring the thunder, she can bring the thunder every time. So it was surprising to see her in this role, but when I did see her in it, I was ready for her to do something, and everything that she did do revolved around being afraid of Willy.
Yeah.
And it was perfect. And so I'll give her performance, everything like that. Like I said, I was uncomfortable with how believable she was as an abusive foster parent because it was just too believable. But that's who, like, she plays a character like that in a lot of Westerns too.
Right.
Like, and she was in No Country for Old Men, and like, she rough as shit.
Yeah.
Like, no, she's awesome. Okay. So talking about the fun of this movie,
Trying really hard. I know. Yeah.
Nick Cage in handcuffs after the sheriff abandons him there and all this. Also, Emily Tosta saying the line as she's being ripped out, he's not in here with them, they're in here with him. Like, straight stealing that from Watchmen and Rorschach. Yep. Like, damn. That was pretty shameless. But also, it worked. When Nick Cage kicks the jukebox and the heads, shoulders, knees, and toes starts playing, but it's got that old-timey Western, like, little jingle to it.
Right.
And so he just kicks it, and that little Western song kicks in, and it's like, all right, it's a little badass. And then, and for a moment, I forgot what the song was. And then all of a sudden I heard, head, shoulders, knees, and toes. And I was like, oh, God damn it. So it actually roped me into the moment a little bit. And then it just crushed me with the head, shoulders, knees, and toes, which got a good chuckle out of me. And I had this moment where, because he was in handcuffs and he was like this, and the fight was about to go, and he was just, like, he was doing that Nick Cage thing, like he does Gone in 60 Seconds before they're about to go when they're listening to Lowrider, and his hand comes up and he does this number. He's like, let's go. That's a Nick Cageism.
That's the thing, is you like, and that's one of the things you can always appreciate about Nick Cage, is that if you get Nick Cage in your movie, you are getting 110% Nick Cage. That's a fact.
Yeah,
even when it is
an
absolute piece of shit like this.
Mm-hmm. And the deputy takes a super, super hard turn from, hey, not to, like, the anger expression on his face when she's talking to him. It was not like, oh, I feel guilty and you're right. It was like, he went straight bad, dude. And I was like, wife, child, and he went from bubbly to psychotically angry like that. That's a scary dude at home.
Yeah.
Like, damn, I would not have that dude over at my parties. I even wrote, I bet he's scary in private. And then the Spanish tortoise, like, coming up and attacking the cop and all of this and icing him. And then the Spanish tortoise, he has the shotgun shells from the shotgun that she just pulled out of the car that he was never, like, they threw some moments in there that I was like, okay, now we're crossing into bad movie territory. Everything like a lot of the stuff before that, those were all straight decisions to be cheesy and over the top and goofy, and I get it. I can respect the decision. That you tried something. I don't like see, and that's the thing. Like when you are trying to make something goofy and cheesy, yeah, you have all the leeway in the world. But when you're trying to make something great, and you're trying to actually pull something together, then you actually have to put fucking thought into that.
Right, yeah.
And too many people don't. And that's one thing that always bothers the crap out of me. Now, do you remember his dancing at the pinball scene? Like the final pinball moment?
The final one, no. I do remember like all of the pinball scenes where he's basically, you know, like you can hear the Who song in his head as he's playing the pinball machine in every scene, you know.
But this final pinball machine moment, you got lens flares, you got music, you got dancing, you got the final moment where it was the perfect 80s moment, man. It was in a movie in 2021, but it was the literal perfect 80s moment. It was the game, it was the music, it was the dancing, and he even ended with it was the perfect 80s moment. Right. And there's just the piece of me that grew up in the 80s and 90s that just loves those moments. So that was for me. And that was for you too, which it missed you. And damn, man. Did this movie have any good moments for you?
No. That's my point. That was the point. Is like, even there are people who love, like genuinely love that. Like, the worse a movie is, the more they love it. You know, there are people who will like watch an episode of Mystery Science Theater or something like that, and they'll go watch the movie they riffed and genuinely enjoy the movie itself. People who love bad movies. I get that.
I don't think I'm one of those, which is why this one's confusing me. But then again, my revenge for you recommending this was I went into this knowing it did not matter. I was going to love this.
But that's the thing is like this is a movie even for someone who loves bad movies. This is not a movie I feel like even they would enjoy. I do not feel there was any.
I talked to a couple people, and I talked to a couple people who said they enjoyed this movie. Not every movie is for everybody, but every movie is for somebody.
I mean, I guess that's technically true, but I don't know. Like
technically true is just all it takes to be a fact.
I just feel like that this movie was made in spite, you know. I really, really do, and that's the thing. It's like no, I didn't. And there was no part of this movie that I enjoyed. I regretted every second of it. The only reason I
and now you've spent 2 hours talking about it. How's that feel?
And I feel bad. I genuinely feel like you said we had some viewers that were watching us. I genuinely feel bad that some of those people are going to hear everything we said about this movie, and even though we're saying over and over again that it's a bad movie, they're going to go, well, I have to see it for myself. They're going to go watch it, and then they're going to blame us for that time in their life that they've lost on this movie.
Oh, no. See, this is just like that short film up in Portland. They don't have to blame... they don't blame me at all. Now, the final battle, part 1. The slowed, it's your birthday. I think they do that. And then the indestructible Nick Cage, who feels pain by his shirt getting torn. Because they forgot to add any injuries under the shirt where it was torn. So, all the scenes of... all of that stuff. And then you cut to see like the tears and all that, and there's no blood underneath. Like they forgot to give him any injuries. So all of that pain was just from the shirt getting torn. So that's crossing into bad movie territory, and I'll give it that one. Wait a minute, I missed something. Where is this note? Because all right, well, it's not going to make any sense to say it now, but that moment where they're about to fight and all this, and then like Nick Cage puts his hands up, and then his alarm on his phone goes off, and he puts it down, and then he puts the switchblade in her hand, and then he goes to drink some pop and play more pinball.
Oh, right, I remember.
That got a good chuckle out of me.
Break time.
Yep, yeah, because he was all ready to go. Beep, beep, beep. And then he gives the knife and so I got a good chuckle out of that one. Now, okay, so then the final battle, part 2, armed up. He's got the can, like all the power punch, pop, and all that stuff in the bag, and he doubled up his stick so that would be hard, and then he tanks Willy. Completely tanks him. Like Nick Cage's character had like almost no effort in this whole movie. The return of the perps. Now it seems kind of like they're new to this. Now this was like where this is some nitpicky stuff, which you can't really be nitpicky in a bad movie, but here I am. So the perps get back there, and the one dude's like whipping shitties in the parking lot, and he's like, "Are you ready?" He's like, "Well, I'm not going in there." And the guy looks at me like, "Pussy." Why would the guy say that? Why would the guy ask him if he's going in there? Why would that not be an already years after years after years of established thing that dude is not going in there? We should not be privy to that. We shouldn't be privy to that moment. That should be a well-established thing. That's me being nitpicky. But here's my final note on this movie. The battle is over. Side mission complete. Collector rewards. Gained ally plus 250 experience points.
Okay, yeah, right.
Because that's what this movie was. Yep. It was. This is a top tier video game movie. Not adaptation. This is a video game movie.
This is like a sequel to the Doom movie, is what you're saying.
No. prequel.
Okay.
Obviously.
Right. Very okay. Right. My bad. Yeah.
So obviously this is not going on the must-see list. This is not a haven't you seen. This is a have you seen, because you're going to sit down in a room with 4 people and all 4 of you are going to have wildly different things to say about this. You might have fun. Definitely don't watch this. Like, you're sitting there biased. I don't know. Like, honestly, this movie is for a certain kind of person, and I have elements of that kind of person, but I'm not that kind of person. Like, this is not a movie for me. However, digging into it, I found some things to enjoy. You didn't.
No, I did not. No. I was personally offended by this movie.
Yeah. I got that.
As not just as a liberal, knowing that I'm watching conservative Christian propaganda, I was offended as a filmmaker.
Well, you ain't saying no to this one. I don't care. Like, this one is too important for me. Like, I was super happy when this one came through for the recommendation. Tombstone.
I have seen Tombstone many, many times. I'm okay with seeing it again to talk about it here. Because that is definitely one of those classic films that I think the young people should definitely have a look at again. Yes.
Awesome. I'm going to look into The Sound of Freedom, because I want to know why it was recommended. Like,
okay.
Yeah, at the very least, I want to know why it was recommended. Then, for my recommendation for you...
Okay.
Because Tombstone is a bit of a heavier one, let me throw a comedy in here. Do you want to do a comedy that you haven't seen, or one that you have seen?
I'd prefer one that I haven't seen, but I mean...
Have you seen Bullet Train yet?
Bullet Train, yes, I have seen that. That's a good one.
It was a really, really good one. It really was.
I'd prefer to try to do something a little bit older. I'd like to try to focus on, because like my main thing is that, you know, there's a lot of older movies that are going undiscovered by the younger generations because channel surfing isn't a thing anymore, and so I'd like to try to bring those up. True. Tombstone is right on that. Is right on there. That's a movie that is a classic. It's been forgotten because you don't see it anywhere anymore. I think that deserves being re-upped, and I think a comedy in that same vein would be better if possible.
There's Something About Mary.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure you've seen it, but yeah. I'm sure that it's also been a very long time since you've seen it.
It has been. I saw it in the theater, and I think it was just that one time. I don't think I've seen it since. So yeah, I don't mind revisiting that at all.
Okay, so next week we're going to cover not The Sound of Freedom. We're going to cover Tombstone and There's Something About Mary.